Hey guys, I hope you're doing well, and thanks for watching today's video. We're going to talk about how to find angles within a circle. A lot of people call this arc measure, so I'm going to write that here because we are finding the measurement of arcs, which is just segments of a circle, so some part of the length around the circle. And there's a lot of different methods that we need to touch on because there's a lot of different ways that you can figure out arc measure. So the easiest is by far central angle. So that's when we have an angle like this, and then we're given this angle, which is a right angle, so I'll say 90 degrees. Let me label these points. That's O, this is A, and that's going to be B. So we would say measure of angle, so measure of angle AOB. So that's this measure that we just have, equals what we're going to say is the measure of arc AB. And we write the arc measure with this little like some kind of semicircle over top the AC. Oh, this should be AB. So measure of angle AB, of arc AB. And they're equal. So in this case, measure of angle AOB is 90 degrees. So measure of angle AOB is 90 degrees. So that means that the measure of the arc, AB, is also going to be 90 degrees. So this one's not bad. So it just says that if I have an angle formed by two radii, so the radiuses here, so we have the AO radii and the BO radii, are just going to equal the same thing. So when you have an angle that's formed by that, the angle is going to be the same thing as the outer angle, which is this here, which we're saying this is 90 degrees. Because remember, the entire length of the circle is 360 degrees. We have a fourth of it with a right angle. It makes sense that it's 90 degrees. So that's as easy as it gets. It gets a lot harder. So let's look at inscribed angle. An angle whose vertex is on the circle formed by two intersecting chords. So a vertex on a circle, so I'm going to put that right here, whose vertex is the vertex is formed by two intersecting chords. So I'm going to draw two chords, one here, then I'll put one here. So those are chords, they're intersecting, so that's what an inscribed angle looks like. So then again, let's label it A, O, and B. Now the rule for this says that measure of angle AOB equals 1/2 the measure of arc AB. So let's see what this looks like. Let's say that I say the arc measure, so this measure here, arc AB, let's say that is, I don't really know what it's close to. Let's say it's 95, no, not 95, let's make it 90 degrees. So the measure of the arc is 90 degrees. Well, I'm saying the measure of angle AOB, again, that's AOB, so that's this right here, equals 1/2 times that measure of the arc, which I said was 90. So that means the measure of angle AOB is 45 degrees. So that is our second rule. That is called the the inscribed angle rule. So it's half the length of the outside. So notice the difference between these two. So if our vertex is in the middle of the circle, then it's going to be the same as the arc length. But then if our vertex is on the outside of the circle, the edge of the circle, it's going to be half of our arc length. So that's really the difference between those two. Now we're going to talk about our tangent-chord angle. So this says it's an angle formed by an intersecting tangent and chord. So first let's start with a tangent. So I'm going to draw that here. Tangent just goes through and touches the circle at exactly one point. So I'll have that going like this. So that's my tangent. Then it's going to obviously have a chord going through it. So here to here, chord just has to touch the circle at 2 points, and it does. Now I'm going to label it. We'll have it A, B, then we'll have C over here. Let me make this a little more like a tangent so it actually touches at one point. So again, what it's saying, it's very similar to the inscribed angle. It's actually going to be the same rule almost. Measure of angle ABC, so that's this measure right here. It equals 1/2 the measure of arc AC, or AB, my bad. 1/2 the measure of arc AB. So arc AB, it goes all the way around. So it's pretty big, it's pretty large. And now they're saying that ABC is going to be 1/2 the measure of that entire arc. So let's say in this example, measure of angle ABC, that angle measurement is maybe 120 degrees. Well, let's plug it in. We get 120 equals 1/2 arc measurement of AB. Multiply both sides by 2, I get 240 degrees is the measurement of arc AB. So that is 240 degrees. And this is 120. So again, it's a similar thing where it's twice as big on the outside, 1/2 as big on the inside. So very similar to our inscribed angle where the angle is kind of on the inside of the circle, it's not in the middle of the circle. You can kind of assume that it's going to be twice as big on the outside if it's not in the middle. So what I mean by that is here you notice that the angle was in the middle joined by the radiuses, but here in the inscribed angle and the tangent chord angle, they were on the outer edges of the circle. And that's key because that's when it's going to be this 1/2 that you see here. Alright, so now number 4, we have the angle formed by 2 intersecting chords. So when 2 chords intersect, there's obviously 4 angles that are formed. Let me show you what I mean here. So we have 1 chord here, we have 1 chord here. The 4 angles are this one, this one, this one, and this one. And what we're saying is that at the intersection point, so that middle point, 2 sets of congruent vertical angles are formed. So vertical angles are kind of opposite angles, so they're on the opposite side of the circle. So this one and this one, those are going to be congruent, those are vertical angles, and then these 2 as well are going to be congruent vertical angles. But how this helps us is it actually helps us in a bit of a different way. So let me write these out. I'm going to say A, let's just make this O, B, then we'll have C and D. So obviously I have 2 arcs here. I have arc AB and arc CD. So I'm going to write those down. I have AB, the arc, and I have the CD arc. And I also have the measure of angle measurement. So measure of angle, I have AOB. And I also have measurement of angle COD. And if you notice, what I said with the vertical angles is that those have to be congruent. So measurement of angle COD and AOB have to be congruent because they're vertical angles. So I'm going to set this equal to measurement of angle COD. So that just helps because if I find one, I know the other one. And now the actual rule. This says that the measurement of angle AOB can be found by taking 1/2 of the sum of the arc measurements. So the sum of arc AB plus the measurement of arc CD will give me that angle. So let's say AB is 50 degrees. Let's say CD is 40 degrees. So I'm going to plug that in and it's going to help me figure out this angle right here. So let's say measurement of angle AOB equals 1/2 of 50, because that's arc AB, plus 1/2 of CD, which is 40. Well, that's going to be 1/2 of 90, which is 45 degrees. So that's what this equals. And then you can take it to the next step by saying, well, if I know AOB, well, then I know COD is 45. Then you can even take it to the next step. If you know that this is 45, you know that these two have to add up to 180. If you take AOC, measurement of angle AOC plus measurement of angle AOB need to add up to 180 because that's a straight line. They form a straight line. Well, then you can do 45 plus x equals 180, and you can determine that x equals 135, and that is the length of this one. And that must be that one too because they're vertical angles. So a lot can be figured out here to this one. This is the actual rule though. So if you're going to study something, memorize this, and then you can extend it in a lot of different ways is what I wanted to show you with that. So that is the intersecting chords formula. And I wanted to talk about angles formed outside of circles by intersection in this video, but this has actually been a little bit long and it's really complex. So I'm going to have a separate video where we're going to talk about that and really dive deep into that because that's definitely the toughest part of all of this. So I hope this made sense. I just start memorizing these rules and you'll get more comfortable with them as you go, I promise. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.